Welcome to the Stanley Street Social Podcast brought to you by MAAP. Another weekly Unpack today. I am Campbell Flatemore and with me today is Alex Clements. How you going, Alex?
Just to mix things up.
Yeah, to mix things up.
Not the normal makeup.
How you going?
Yeah, good.
Were you out in the tear last night? On a Tuesday night, a school night?
No, because I don't work Wednesdays. It was not a school night.
But you're on the tear?
No, I just had a beer with a couple of mates down to the local hawker.
Jesus. Dear. All right, we're going to get stuck into it. We're going to talk a little bit about Flanders to start with because we were both on the Apple Island for that Unpack, so we missed out on that. We're going to talk a little bit about Basque.
It was good watching it through some fresh air, though, drinking some crisp water.
There's just something about being back there, isn't there? So, yeah, Flanders, Basque. We'll touch on Roubaix again, even though we did a little bit of an Unpack on Sunday night. Comm Games is going to be something we're going to talk about, and then the Ardennes moving forward this week, which is about to kick off tonight with, I don't know how to say the race, Brabant-Chapelle or something, just a teaser for what's to come. So Flanders, Albie, it was a wet start. It looked very grim.
Oh, it was horrible.
If ever there was an advertising for not wanting to be a professional cyclist, that was it. Riding through wet, filthy roads, it just brings back nightmares.
And like lining up on the start line, it's wet, and you've got 260, is it?
Yeah,
260?
260.
Like
and it's
that,
wet.
And it's wet. You're starting wet. Ugh, how do you get motivated? And especially when the race is really that back end, you've got so long till things start to happen, and there's just danger, stress. Like it just, especially for the big names, it just adds such another unnecessary stress on their day, and it brings out the best bike riders though.
I think it was
the real bike racers.
Yeah,
the ones that just froth that
it's
hard.
It's always the Belgians that just love the hardcore weather. Like, you can see why they take these races to the cleaners, just because, I'm not going to say gringos, but like Australians and British and...
You're watching too much Narcos.
Americans just don't seem to have that hardness that like these Belgian guys have. I don't know whether it's just growing up there or what, but they just have that other level
just
of
that kind
hardness.
of like that face that they get when you see them coming over those cold climbs. They're just on a mission. They all look buckled. But
it's stone cold faces like Van Avermaet and Ben Hood.
Yeah.
Like, they're suffering, but they just put on this shield.
Robot.
But anyway, it took 70k for the break to go, and then we saw the break kind of go, and then it was the quick step show. Really,
it was a quick step show.
The self-proclaimed Wolfpack.
It's been getting a bit of traction in the media.
What do you think of the Wolfpack, self-proclaimed?
It's probably good for their awareness, but it's a bit.
It's not for yours?
Not really, nah. If I was in the Wolfpack, I wouldn't be publicly throwing it around like they have been. But
I mean, if the press wants to, call it the Wolfpack, I'd take it.
But
I'm not going to be advertising myself as part of a Wolfpack.
Quick Step would be sitting there going, "Yo, everyone's just getting this tag on the Wolfpack."
But the race itself and the tactics and the execution by Quick Step was military precision. It just seemed like they were never going to lose that race. Like
strength in numbers. It
just goes to show, and no one got close really in terms of taking it to Quick Step. Like, if Mads Pedersen had have been able to stay with Terpstra that last time at the Quaremont, maybe it would have been different, but he just rode away from the main group, rode straight through the break, and then was just solo to the finish. And, I've said a lot about Terpstra in the last couple of weeks, not liking him, etc., just the way he goes about it, but the way he wins races, you can't take that away from him, how strong of a rider he is.
Nibali was good for a GC contender.
He was. Is he doing the Tour de France?
Couldn't tell you. Don't know.
But if he is, that experience on the cobbles and that sort of strength on the cobbles.
No, sure he's doing the Tour de France. He has to be doing the Tour de France.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen.
He's doing the Tour de France.
But a stage like you can take 2 minutes on a cobble stage off guys that are going to suffer on the cobbles. Yeah. I imagine Quintana's not going to be super on the cobbles. Richie Port. I don't know how Richie would go on the cobbles. But, that's a stage where you can not win the Tour like they say, but you can lose the Tour.
Yeah, and just like coming into it knowing, hey, I've conquered this race. I've conquered some of these cobbles with some of the best in the world. These 80, don't know how much they weigh, plus 70 keg guys compared to me at 60, whatever I am, and climbing the Alps at the same time. I'm going to go all right here. Or I'm at least going to be able to mix it with the big boys and potentially hoop my competitors, where taking 2 minutes on a climb is proper hard when your competitors are that good.
Yeah.
But if you can take that advantage and coming in mentally, his competitors will know that. His competitors will be like, geez, Nibali was pretty good. He's going to be a man to watch. And if he's got a good team around him, look out, Tour de France.
Yeah. Just something I want to touch on from Flanders is the bloke who ran second, Mads Pedersen. Jesus. We saw Tige Benoot a couple of years ago. I think he might have been the same age as Pedersen was this year, run a top 5, but a second on the podium at Flanders, born in 1995. It's I saw that it's like a few days after he re-signed with Trek, so they're obviously pretty confident that he can perhaps win this race one day, and the way he raced was impressive.
Just strength to the finish line. Like Terpstra wasn't really putting much time into him.
He made Terpstra earn it, didn't he? There were times there where I thought he was going to get caught, as in Pedersen was going to get caught by the chasers. But
yeah, and to run second with a chasing bunch coming, it's not bad.
He's just another one of these young Danish blokes. They're just all so strong. It's
just out of the Danish production line of
it just never ends.
Yeah, glutes for days. Another person that was good, Dylan Van Baal.
Yeah.
Young bloke for Sky.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that young anymore,
Youngish.
is he? What is he, 25 or 26?
You're my age.
I think he's my age.
My age?
Yeah.
The winner of the Death Day.
The Olympia's Tour Death Day. Just another one of these Northern European hard men. Love the hard conditions. Put this face on, and they just go for it. But yeah, I think he'll be a rider that can maybe win one of these races one day. Just quickly, Team Sky sprinting campaign. Been pretty poor, I would have thought, so far.
Yeah, not a whole lot
to report. What happened to
Gianni?
Gianni
probably hasn't been quite as good as last year.
Nah, I mean, Luke Rowe, he was DQ'd in Flanders. I mean, he snapped his leg on a night on the piss last year, and he was meant to be out for ages, but he's come back a little bit before, so he's not at top shape.
What do you reckon about that DQ?
I think he had no. It's clear now that if you go on the footpath, you're going to get disqualified. So he's not going to do it by choice. And I think if you see the footage, he had nowhere to go, and he was on there for 20, 30 metres and then jumped straight back onto the road. I think he was very, very unlucky.
As you said, there was nowhere to go. What are you going to do? Bin it instead of going on the footpath?
Yeah, or go ploughing into spectators. Like, he had no choice.
And if he ran that line and went up the inside and whacked him, DQ him. But he didn't gain anything, except he didn't crash, which is in everyone's interest. And I think it was a bit much for mine.
Yeah. They had Kwiatkowski, that was, I think, their designated leader at Flanders. It didn't do much either.
Yeah, not really.
And Ian Stannard, he hasn't done a whole lot the last year or so on the cobbles, I don't think. So I think they'll have a little bit of a, what do they call in the AFL, a bit of a rebuild, if you will, around the Spring Classics moving forward.
But before that, they were having some pretty good results with Kwiatkowski, and then they've got, I don't know, you don't know how much effect it had, but this whole Froome saga just floating around the team can't be good for morale.
It can't be good for anyone really involved. We'll move on to Spain. País Vasco, 1 week tour. We saw Primrose Roglic.
Looked proper hard.
It's always hard there, by the looks of it. Never raced in Spain, but not any tours anyway.
Ponferrada.
Yeah, but the first 2 stages we saw Julien Alaphilippe win 2 stages, and I'm thinking, when on God's green earth is this quick step rampage going to end? I just didn't see it coming to an end, and luckily, via an Australian, Jay McCarthy took a stage win, and that was his second World Tour win of the year after winning Cadell's race. So it was good to see Jay break that
and
rampage
keep progressing. Like, he's had little bits of sniffs here and there, but he's made the step up. Full credit.
Also in País Vasco, Jai Hindley, another Australian. He had a good day out in the breakaway.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how Jai and Story go under that Somewhere banner. They're like,
I think they've been at the pointy end of races already. Not so much results, but riding the front and helping the team where they can. And Jai in the break, it's a good start.
But just taking that different direction from the traditional Australian path. From what I've heard, Sunweb's recruiting process and management of athletes is pretty elite.
It's a very, very young squad. If you look at all the riders on that list, it's a young team, which is it's probably a good environment for these guys to go into, I think.
Yeah. Especially with another Australian. There's a few other Australians on the team.
Michael Matthews is there, and I think there's a few Americans as well, so that should be a good culture.
And some proper good bike riders in Hindley and Stora too.
Yeah. Roglic won the overall. He...
the ski jumper.
The ski jumper, yeah. So he was a junior world champion ski jumping, and I saw the clip of his crash that I think ended his career. You have to check it out.
Sure. Is it on the YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah,
we'll put it in the bio.
I think we can put it in the bio.
We'll put it in the bio. Give it a retweet.
But I think that's the crash that ended his career, and then he got into cycling. I think it was 2011, and then I think he was in a Conti team, his Slovenian Conti team, and then made his way to the World Tour. But in País Vasco, he had 3 second places, and he won the time trial, which is sort of becoming his strength now.
It just doesn't have that dynamic of a road race, which is sometimes hard to come to when you haven't grown up with the sport, and when he's obviously strong as an ox. So put him in a TT, look out everyone.
Yeah.
Especially we saw that Torino stage that he won, which would drag race up this filthy climb.
Yeah.
It was good.
And on the last day, I think he had almost like a 2-minute advantage on Lando going into the last day. Tricky last day, 122k, hilly, super hard to defend. I didn't see the race, but I imagine Lotto wouldn't have had that many numbers defending against like a movie star.
Movie star shot like A-team almost.
I think he lost a minute on that stage, but he still won the overall by about a minute. So I think he always had things under control. But this guy, he won a Giro stage in 2016. He won a Tour de France road stage last year. He was second at World's time trial. He won Algarve last year, and now he's won País Vasco.
How's bike racing going for you?
Is he gonna challenge a Grandie? I noticed, I wasn't looking on Sportsbet myself, but through a friend I was informed that he's paying about $60 to win the Tour de France. So if you're a punter, wouldn't it be a bad little bet to jump on? I wouldn't have thought.
Or a World Tour rider recruiter. Don't know how long his contract's for.
But yeah. In terms of that, I would imagine he's a pretty sought after rider now after these results. But for the Tour de France, he's got to be someone that you would consider being a threat now with that time trial ability, and to be able to climb like he does. Then
put a squad around him.
That's probably his downfall, isn't it? They probably don't have the cattle to
It'd be
support him.
Interesting to see what they're going to the Tour for.
Groenewegen probably would be going to the Tour, I would have thought.
Bennett.
Yeah, George Bennett. Maybe they do have the cattle. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they do there. Commie Games. We're going to talk a little bit about the track, I think, for the first time on this podcast.
It's good. It's good having track on TV.
Yeah,
I rate it.
It's a super spectator sport, isn't it, track cycling?
There needs to be more of it on TV.
Yeah.
Get some of those,
I agree.
Yeah. Get eyes on the screen.
So we saw both the men and the women win the TP, the team pursuit, and we also saw the men and the women win the scratch race. Sam Welsford in the men and Tasmanian Amy Cure in the women's. Both super strong rides by both the winners and the teams as well.
I think, Welsford, Luke Parker, who I was watching the race with, he stood up and threw his towel in for Welsford with 2 laps to go.
It looked like
was pacing around the kitchen, and Welsford took the bull by the horns, big style. Like with 2 laps to go, he's taken over camp. Like could have been either the mentality of racing for second, or I'm going to win this, or nothing.
Or I'm going to run 10th.
Yeah, I'm going to run 10th, which he took, and did it pay off? God, he was quick. He's
such a strong-looking boy, though, isn't he, Welsford? If you see his legs, you're like, there is just so much power there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, big talent. Big talent. Cam was good, though. Couldn't really work out what he was doing at the start. He kept jamming the pace, which is like, keep the pace up, but maybe was a little bit unnecessary with the whole bunch. Because everyone would be rolling turns, and then Cam Myra would go and split it all up, but not really. And then he'd swing up and it'd just be all back together. Anyway.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the women's points race from an Australian.
Or first of all, the women's scratch race for Amy.
Yeah.
Nettie and Asha and Kudnoff, proper good. Elite. It's a bit hard to tell how Ash was going, but she did it was a genuine lead out, and then Nettie turned the screws, but then also Amy rode really well. Like it wasn't a perfect delivery. Like it wasn't a given delivery. It wasn't a given win.
Still had a bit to do.
Yeah, she still had a bit to do, and she just held, I don't know what the rider was, but just held her on the hip like around the last bend. I was like, poof, look at Amy Cure.
And the points race?
The points race, they butchered it for
butchery.
mine. Yeah. They're just like, Amy came 5th or 6th or something, and they just didn't look like they were riding as a team for mine. It was Georgia Baker and Alex Manley, the other two riders. Showed a little bit of enterprise, but it was just messy.
Yeah.
I don't know what the tactics were, but it just didn't seem like they had a sole objective, and it just didn't go about it all that well.